All right, after a few technical difficulties, we're live now on the Get Busy Livin Podcast. And I'm Dr. Scott from Sixth Sense Acupuncture. I'm a resident acupuncturist and Chinese herbalist. And we have a lovely guest today, the absolutely awesome Chef Mel. And she's going to teach you a few things about food and cooking. So much appreciated and coming on, Chef Mel, and giving us your time and your experience. And thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Excited.
Awesome. So I'll start off with my usual first question.
Yes.
Which is, tell us what gets Chef Mel out of bed every day.
Well, when I read the question, I was going to say food because I'm very food driven and I love jumping out of bed into a new day and having something wonderful. But generally, my pug will scratch at the door until I wake up, and she's the one who gets me out of bed in the morning. But technically, it's, I suppose, passion for a new day of delicious discoveries. Whether it's in my own kitchen or at the cooking school, or if I'm writing a book, and of course planning my next trip, because I like to refer to myself as a cultural gastronomer. So I'm always looking for the next exciting thing to go and travel to, because people are traveling to the food, so it's exciting times.
Yeah, well, that's true. I suppose the stewardesses would probably ask you to cook some meals on the planes, I suspect.
They've never actually directly asked me, but I did once pimp up the food offering at the lounge, the business class lounge. I did actually once make a beautiful creation using all of the ingredients out of the
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And I did tag Richard Branson, but he never got back to me.
So it was in Virgin, I suspect.
It was Virgin, but yes, I've done the Qantas as well. So there we go.
Doing the competition as well.
Can't help myself. Yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, that's magnificent. That you can influence so many people's lives through food, and that's very true. And I am a herbalist, and I understand how food is so important. And
yeah.
I've said this before, that the emperor's physician normally was the cook.
Yeah.
Normally, the Chinese emperor, his physician normally was the cook, and they knew. So as you would know, that food is so important in our health. So
it is.
Tell us.
Yes, it's important.
So tell us, how did you get into chefing? How did you get into the Chef Mel mode?
Well, I always tell the story of when I was 7 years old, we immigrated from Zimbabwe to South Africa, and my parents had no choice but to put me in boarding school straight away at the age of 7. So because I was the smallest and I didn't speak the language, I would say I was bullied, and they would steal my food. So I became very food orientated, and I would go home on the weekends and I would cook these things that I could take with me, so that, during the week I had things to nibble on. And I think my passion for food just grew from there, because I also grew up on those very remote, when I say remote, it was extremely remote ranches in the middle of nowhere in Africa. So my only entertainment was, there was no Xbox or PlayStation or even a Westfield shopping center. My entertainment was, getting a fancy recipe book, which was ever so exciting, from the library, and then cooking out of there. And that was my entertainment. And I enjoyed it terribly. The family enjoyed it. And I found that I was quite creative. So it was a natural progression for me to become a chef, because I literally, and my friends will vouch for me, I literally think in food. And I'm also one of those people who loves to feed people. So, if someone's sad, I'll feed them. And if someone's happy, I'll feed them. And if someone comes over, I'm like one of those Italian nonnas. I say, here, eat this. So with my nurturing, Yeah, whether you like it or not, with my nurturing personality, and then having worked as a cooking school teacher and a chef for the last 28 years, I have found my niche, which is teaching happiness in the kitchen, not only for cooking and making, the tedious task of cooking every single day for the family, to make that actually into one of the highlights of someone's day or week, because I get terribly excited by food, and I constantly am intrigued by what else you can do with a bunch of kale, or a Brussels sprout, or what you can do with an eggplant. So it helps me stay creative. And then having the other passion, which is traveling, makes me a good all-rounder as a chef. And I love to share my cheat, lazy, happy cooking with anyone who will listen to me. So there we go.
So yeah, that does make sense. Because I remember as a young boy, Mum would cook us meals, and we mainly ate meat and 3 veg
Yeah.
when we were younger. So uh, when she did something special, I it got us all excited. We all like, this is great, this is fantastic, this tastes, and we talked more. I noticed it. But
Yeah.
if she did the old plain Jane, meat and 3 veggies, really, you can see the doubt. And
Yeah.
and if you had it on a bad day and you come home and this meal is like, wow, blows your mind, you're just
Yeah.
like, thank you so much, Mum. So I get it. I understand. It does.
Yeah.
It can change the dynamics of your family. It can
Absolutely.
lift someone's day up if you put a great meal in front of them.
I call it a food attitude. Food can actually adjust your mood very quickly. And the food that we eat is nourishing our bodies. And that's where we were chatting about. That is I get terribly upset when I see people who aren't as excited and passionate and enthusiastic about life, and then you sort of look at what they're eating, and it's a no-brainer that is exactly why they don't feel energized, they don't feel happy, they don't feel excited. I'm the same. If I don't eat well for 2 or 3 days in a row, I'm cranky. I feel lethargic. And what I've done is, because I do place a massive importance on what I feed myself and the family. I feed myself to feel this happy and excited. So it's not why is Mel so happy? It's because what I'm eating is perfect to sustain this happiness.
And that's
I do have
very
bad
true.
days, though. Just to point out, there are some bad days, but generally I can fix it with a cheesecake.
Naughty girl. So what was I going to say? That is very true. And I I saw a lot of mental health issues, especially in the hospitals. And I understand that they're trying, they're mass producing food for hundreds, thousands of people.
Yeah.
But the nutritional value of some of the things I saw, I was just like, really? Is this really what we need to do for our patients? If we could mass produce the methods that you do you think you could that this would change the health of our society?
I think so, because I think society is calling for a change. I think we
Okay.
aren't putting up with, even at home, we watching food channels and we watching cooking shows, and it's pushing us to cook different things at home. And when I say different things, I don't mean like all of a sudden it's expensive. We're using the same ingredients we've been using for years and years and years, but there are always lovely, creative ways of improving that. And it's all about also buying the right food. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, Mel, how can you eat so healthy?" And I go, it's because I went shopping for this kind of food. So if you've only got certain food in the fridge and freezer and in your pantry, you are then limited as to what you can actually cook. So yes, I'm a chef and I can whip up a 7-course degustation out of one eggplant, but I'm also very passionate about teaching my my people how to shop and then how to use their fridge, freezer, and pantry to really support their cooking and their eating, because a lot of us don't use our kitchens efficiently. So what I'm talking about is, if I buy in bulk, I'll do a lot of prep on the weekend. So then during the week when I'm busy and I'm distracted, I've still got that beautiful food that I prepped when I was bored on Sunday for 20 minutes. And I did a whole lot of, I took a cabbage and I did it in my food processor, and I've got Brussels sprouts ready and chopped, and I've got capsicums ready and chopped. Then on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, I can do stir fries and raw salads and that kind of thing. But if you don't have your prep done, and you can do your prep every single time, but you'll actually be more efficient if you set aside the time and you plan to succeed with your food, and then you actually do 2 or 3 more condensed preparation sessions, and then your fridge is like this your supply of gorgeous food. And then you need to use your fridge and freezer and your pantry successfully. So when you're buying things like spices or nuts in bulk, use your freezer, especially if you're in Queensland, because spices and things like nuts and olive oils in this extreme heat and humidity, they don't last very long. And then you find that you're wasting your money because, your macadamians nuts have gone rancid, or, there's weevils in your whatevers. So we need to I use my freezer as a storage facility. So I've got my nuts and my spices. And don't get me started on cooking with stale spices. A lot of people have got spices from when they moved house 6 times ago. They've got nutmeg from 1996, and they're wondering why their food isn't tasting good. Or they've got a spice mix from 4 or 5 years ago. It died 3 years ago, and it's only that big. We should be storing our things in the fridge or freezer. You will get so much more life out of them. You'll be more efficient. You'll feel more chefy. And, having that food prepped and ready in the fridge, as you can see, I'm really passionate about it. It's why I'm so happy in the kitchen, because I'm lazy, I'm prepared, and I've generally got something chopped up that I can quickly throw together with a protein or with a sexy sauce or something. So I use my equipment. I can hand chop everything, but use a food processor. No one's going to judge you or anything. Have some fun, make it pleasant, and store it and have those things ready, and go shopping and have some fun, but buy some really fantastic ingredients, and then learn some basic skills on how to cook them.
So that leads me to a good question. So give us some tips on how you would help food to ferment, not only ferment, but also to prolong the life of food. Because from what I can see, the jars and the tins, they use chemicals to keep the life of whatever they're trying to sell. Is there any tips that you can give us on how we can have keep longer in your fridge? Or
so it is about planning to succeed. All right, so you kind of need to get into a routine, and with anything in life, if you put your mind to it, you can make the change. If it's that important to you, and if you're investing in the time and the money, you will see the change. If you're not investing in the time or the money, you're not going to make a change. It's not going to just happen one night or one day. So you have to plan it, if I can say that again. So when we think about fermenting at home and storing your food at home successfully, I always recommend starting with a full spring clean. Get into your fridge, freezer, and pantry. See what you have in there, and then throw those horrible spices out that expired 400 years ago, and invest in yourself and get some fresh stuff. But when we think about, making our own homemade pickles and that kind of thing, this gets exciting because you can actually gift those to your friends and they think you're terribly chefy. But you also need to have some prep done to do that. So if you do your prep like I do on a Sunday, because generally Sunday is kind of like just a stay at home kind of chill day, then I'll prep a whole lot of veggies that I've found at the market. Then after 2 or 3 days when I'm sort of sick of the cabbage, then I might pickle it, because I wouldn't waste it because it's already chopped and diced. All I need to do is put it in a jar, and there's some beautiful recipes about, fermenting. And we've got easy access to those recipes because anyone can do it off a phone or off a device. And then you'll use those because you made them and you feel important and clever because you made these lovely things. But, if you have chopped something up and you've chopped up a whole lot of veggies and you do get sick of it, put it in a Ziploc bag or something and put it in the freezer, because in 2 weeks' time, when it's a Wednesday night and the family's looking at you, you can take those veggies out the freezer and stir fry them, or, make them into something. So I do use my freezer as my support system. I've got stash in there for those nights where the teenager goes, at 4 o'clock, I'm hungry, and then he thinks he's going to get a takeaway, but I'm like, no, I've saved something. So whenever I cook, I also cook extra, because it's the same amount of dishes and a little bit, of extra ingredients, but I always serve one and save one, so that I do have, because we're a busy family, I've got stuff in the fridge or freezer that is gorgeous. It's, like takeaway, but I've got it ready, because it just really works for me and my family to have that sort of food ready to go. And I really think for a lot more people as well.
I'm a big fan of salsa verde and what's it called, guacamole, because
Yes.
it can last a while.
Yes.
And like you said, you can just freeze it, bring it back out. It doesn't take long, and it defrosts, and then you can add it to whatever you want, and it makes
Yeah.
it. And
Mash.
for me, I use an oil base, so I usually use olive oil, because it prolongs the life of the whatever you're trying to preserve. That's for me. But is there any
Yes.
other tips you give us as well? On
I've got lots of
something
tips. Yeah, especially, if you are buying a bunch of herbs and now you've only taken a sprig of, the basil or the parsley off, don't let it, most people put it to the side of the kitchen and let it die completely before they go, okay, I'm putting that in the bin. So before it dies, you can freeze it, or you can throw it in your food processor, like you said, with a oil as a base, some garlic. There's different recipes. I'm talking about, let's say a pesto. We're going to add some pecorino cheese, but then you've got that for a few weeks. And then, say you've got a salad, you could take 1 or 2 teaspoons of your pesto and add it to a store-bought mayo or a Greek yogurt or a vegan style yogurt. And then you've got all of a sudden this sexy, amazing dressing that you just happen to whip up yourself. And just going back to that extra virgin olive oil again, make sure it's fresh, because people out there are cooking with stale extra virgin olive oil, and it breaks my heart. So, if your extra virgin olive oil, if you bought the big one 6 years ago in your early 20s, it's not okay to cook with that anymore. You got to sniff it. And if it smells good, it's going to taste good. But if it smells old and rancid, you kind of need to admit it and either regift it or throw it away and get yourself some new stuff, because you deserve it. But definitely, if you've got just a couple of seconds, you could put that in your smoothie maker or food processor and whiz it up into a chimichurri or a nam jim, or there's all sorts of recipes you can get access to in 5 seconds on your phone or on your device. So plan ahead and don't waste it. Try not to waste it.
So, so tell us about your transition into South Africa. So, as you're growing up, did you do a apprenticeship, or
yes,
what happened?
So when it was time in high school, when the guidance counselor would speak to us, I think they wanted me to do counseling or psychiatry, and I thought I'm a highly emotional person. The last thing I need is I could not handle everyone else's emotions as well. And my direct response was, no, I want to be a chef. And I remember a few people saying to me, oh, being a chef, you have to work every night and every weekend. And I was like, yes, I'll do it, but I will one day find my own niche. And that's exactly what I have done. And to be honest, and to be fair, they were right, because I did not handle it in the real kitchens, because it's not like in the movies and the glamour where it's all like, yes, chef, yes, chef. They're throwing things at you, back in the 90s. There was no, they didn't have to worry about stuff like that. So I hated it. I actually hated it in the real kitchens. I think I lasted all of 3 years, and then I quit and became a area manager for a big food service company. And then I was managing people for 4 years, and I kind of it was okay, but my passion was people and food. So in 2000, back in Durban, in South Africa, I started my first cooking school, which was called Gecko. And I started it from a little granny flat at my house. And it had happened because, while I was working as an area manager, I would have friends or friends of friends say, Mel, you're a chef. We want to learn how to make Thai food, or you're a chef. We want to learn how to make, whatever. And then I would have them over to my house. We'd have a couple of glasses of wine. And next minute I was teaching them how to cook. So then one of my friends said, oh, can we come every Monday night for our book club? So that sort of was my first, as a businesswoman, going, there's a market for this. And I remember when I quit my job with the food service company, my boss said to me, Mel, that's a silly idea. No one wants to learn how to cook for home. And that was back in 2000, where, cooking wasn't as glamorous as it is now. I think the only chefs then who were in the limelight were Ainsley and maybe Nigella, and maybe Jamie had just surfaced, but it was not the trend that it is now. And he said to me, look, I'll keep your job for you because this is not going to work and you can come back. So I think if he hadn't said that to me, I might have failed, because I worked so hard at building it that I did succeed. And when I won my first award for the most innovative and creative business idea, I took him with as my date.
Did you?
Because there was a need for it, and there still is a need for it. So a lot of us watch those cooking shows and we get so terribly intimidated. Oh, how can they know how to make a velouté and I don't even know how to make a packet of white sauce, So to me, it's about demystifying how to do something. And that's what I refer to them as chefy skills. So I make it a bit more fun. And I can literally take someone who cannot even boil an egg, and I can teach them quite easily how to make a ciabatta or a focaccia or a ravioli or whatever. Because if you break it down, it's just cooking. We're not building a rocket or anything. It's just someone needs to show you what it feels like, what it looks like, what it needs to do, what you need to look out for. And that is my superpower, is I am very good at communicating and breaking down the steps to get someone from, feeling absolutely hopeless and useless in the kitchen to strutting their stuff, saying big words like mise en place and beurre manier, or, things like that, and showing off to their friends and family, because we want to feel appreciated in the kitchen. And we want a round of applause from our mother-in-law saying, wow, your cooking's really good, or can I have the recipe? So I've changed. A lot of people have said to me that I've changed their life, because they came in really petrified of a basic recipe and they left with, skills that are going to last a lifetime. And it's all about someone showing you and then getting the confidence and then practicing, practice, and then make it your own, because, we all get sick of our own cooking. You need to liven it up, with different ingredients, different spice mixes, that kind of thing. You can take the same recipe and rehash it 50 times before anyone will notice, by changing the accompaniments, the side dishes that you serve with it, or the spice mix, or change out, cauliflower for broccoli, and all of a sudden you got a new dish. Okay, that's too simplified. But I think making it simple is where we need to be going, and learning a skill. And then once you've learned that skill and you feel really chefy, learn another skill. Keep going. Just keep challenging yourself. It's like the rest of your life. If you don't try, you don't succeed. Would you believe it? Would you believe it? If you don't try, you're never going to get it right.
Well, that's right. If you don't have a go, you never know. So what was I going to say? And that's very true. I'm starting to learn that now. That when we stop wanting to learn more, it stagnates your life, and then you go into this hole where you just don't think that things are getting better for yourself. So when you're trying to learn different things, and even just in your own industry or in your own niche of your life, trying to learn new things within that system, then it makes life so much easier.
But it can be intimidating. It can be really scary.
Yes.
A lot of people, have maybe asked, "Excuse me, how do you do that?" And someone has made them feel, stupid, or you should know that, or whatever. And you need to find that person who you trust enough, and that you have the confidence to ask them, "How do you do that?" And whether that's watching a cooking show and then just, trying it yourself, or finding your perfect cooking coach, which is probably going to be me, because I'm really good at teaching. But finding someone who actually cares enough, so when you ask it in a way, then that person goes, "Okay, you don't understand that way. Here, why don't you try? This is another way that you might be able to do it." And that helps you progress. So find your person that makes you feel like you can be amazing in the kitchen, and stay away from those people who make you feel bad about yourself. We all find our people. You all find, like I've had so many instances where I've asked a question to the universe, and I've heard all these answers, and none of them resonated with me until I heard the right person talking to me.
Yes.
And that's what you need to find. Is you need to find someone who is willing to help you in the way that you can understand it. And that's not just in cooking, that's with everything, I suppose.
Yes, correct. You got to have what's the saying? You are the sum of the 5 people you hang with. So that's very, very true. And that motivates you more. Like you want to, because it's all about helping the community. And if those people around you are stopping you from doing that, well, then
we need people
to hang with.
You need people. You need people who uplift you, and we all deserve to feel like you've accomplished something. We all, as you get older, you want to go, "Oh, I never used to be able to do that, but that was then, and this is now, and now I can make a croquembouche in 30 minutes, no problem." You need to have those little bits of feeling where you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable or intimidated, but then have a success, and then you're like, "Yay, let me do the next thing." And then that's what I do in my courses. Is everyone wants to start with flambeing things, and and I go, "Okay, well, we'll do that, but do you know how to make a successful stir fry? Are your stir fries soggy? Is there like gray liquid coming out of your stir fries?" And they go, "Oh, hang on. Yes, I don't even make stir fries because they always get so wet." And then that's a cooking method gone wrong. That's when you stir too much and you cool the pan down, and then, your food, I call it crying, your food actually drops its liquid because it's being stewed. And the trick to fix that is keep it swear word hot. I always say, you've got to hear the sizzle, you got to manage the heat in pan, and for goodness sakes, please stop stirring. Same with beef mince, or if you're vegan, mushroom mince. If you put your mince beef or mushrooms into a pan that is cool enough to be cooking your onions and your garlic, the minute you put the mince in, it drops its liquid because it's not able to seal. So then everyone blames the butcher. Everyone says, "Oh, the butcher pumps the meat full of liquid to charge me extra." No, you're stirring in a cold pan. You're the problem. So it's reteaching those little cooking methods where, if it's a stir fry or if it's beef mince, you got to be hearing a sizzle. You don't stir it to death. Only stir it when it's just about to burn, because we want that brown. We want that flavor, because when you brown your mince or your mushrooms, well, you can't really brown mushrooms, but when you brown your mince, that's when you get the flavor. That's when it smells glorious, and the difference between mince that is being stewed and it's gray and, it just doesn't smell appealing. And then you've got to disguise it with 100 sauces out the fridge. And you didn't have to work that hard. Just stop stirring and back away from the pan. Back away from the pan.
Work tools down. Work tools down.
A lot of people, I've actually got an apron that says back away from the pan. Get the pan where we're put, because I've coached and I've trained so many couples or families, and then when I do my little passionate speech, because you can hear that that's not the first time I've said that about the mince and the stir fries, there will always be very glaring looks across the room, where the husband's looking at the wife because the wife's the compulsive stirrer, or the granny always stirs too soon, or there's someone in your home, you can blame it on them that they are the compulsive stirrer, not you. But mend your wicked ways.
Yes, that's true. And you're very much right. So that brings me to another question. So what I suppose it depends on what the dish you're trying to cook, but do you prep your onions and your garlic first, by searing them first, or do you just put it into the meal and into the main part of the meal? You see where I'm going with that?
I'm really annoying, and I'm really efficient, because as much as I love the kitchen, I do not like to spend extra time in the kitchen, because I've got I've got a life. So generally, if I'm cooking, like if it's the mince or if I'm browning something off, while it's browning, I'll quickly chop down my onion and then add it in, because I don't add the onions in first if I'm doing a casserole or a beef dish or a veggie dish, because what I find is if you've got the onions and the garlic in the pan, then the pan's too cold for the mince. So I actually cook the mince first, get it perfect. And then because I'm too lazy to wash a lot of dishes and there's no ways I'm scooping that mince out, I just push all the mince to the half side of the pan. And then in that fat that is rendered out of the mince, and you can throw the extra fat off if you're not into fat, but in that little bit of fat in the half side of the pan, that's when I put my onion and garlic in. And then I stir it on the side. And then when it's all nice and translucent and cooked, then I stir the dish together. And this is why I'm so happy, is because that's the laziest, most efficient way to do it. If you're browning your onions, you're sauteing your onions and your garlic, and then you take them out of the pan and you put the mince in. By then I've lost interest completely. I've totally moved on, and I'm not interested anymore. It's too much work, and just learn to be more efficient. And sometimes, change the cooking method. But generally, while something's browning or in the oven, cooking, you can then do your other prep.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're cutting down on your plating, basically, and also the utensils you're using. But or the other thing is, I get what you're saying. Yeah, you want to get your meat cooking first. You want to get that going first, because vegetables break down a lot faster.
Yeah, your meat doesn't need you standing there looking at it. I sometimes say, do not make eye contact with the mince or your meat until it's brown. It doesn't need you. It doesn't want you. It's doing its own thing. Go chop something or load the dishwasher. Go pour a glass of wine, whatever you need to do. But sometimes that compulsive stirring, where you're standing over there stirring it, you're actually creating, too much work for yourself. So yeah, back away from the pan. But it depends on the recipe. I mean, I'm in my mind explaining how I do stir fries or beef mince. And then that goes back to what I was saying earlier. If you do use onion, garlic, whatever, often on a Sunday when you do your prep.
Yeah, prep, yeah.
put a whole 6 or 7 onions in your food processor, get them all diced up, and then put them in a container, and then you've got onions, ready to go. Then you just saved yourself 20 minutes on Wednesday night again, because then you got to wash a knife, wash a chopping board, get the onion out. By then it's 20 minutes, just chop them up every 3 or 4 days, and even out the freezer sometimes is okay. It just depends on how big your family is as well.
That's it. So, all right. So we're at the apprenticeship. We're doing our work now for ourselves. So, what have you done over the last 20 years? How have you expanded?
Well, I had my first cooking school in 2001 in Durban in South Africa. I immigrated to Australia in 2008. I actually worked because my kids were only 11 months old and 3 years old. So I needed a 9-to-5 job, and just arriving in a country, you need to work. So I worked for a pizza company as a pizza development chef. I did all the designing of pizzas for 3 years. It was the best fun ever. I was traveling overseas, and I was, meeting people, and I was traveling around Australia, and it was fantastic. And I worked 9-to-5, so that was fantastic. But in 2011, because I knew when I immigrated, I was going to open another cooking school. In 2011, I had enough financial backing and enough of, me feeling like I understood Australia and, how everything worked. So 3 years after I arrived, I started Vanilla Zulu, and I still have Vanilla Zulu. 13 years this year, which is awesome. And it's going really well. But I actually replaced myself there about 9 months ago so that I could work on my own cookbooks. So I've got 5 of these culinary quickies. Well, they all called quickies cookbooks. So because, as you can see, what I've been saying is I'm lazy. So it's all about quickies, all right, being prepared and efficient and confident in the kitchen, and having a little bit of fun as well. But I've written the 5 books, and then I've also recorded them as online classes. So no matter where you are in the world, you can buy my course, and then you can learn how to cook with me in your kitchen, and you can pause and rewind and fast forward. And, you can message me from the portal, and I will actually answer because I actually care. And that's what I've been doing for the last 9 months. So very exciting, and I'm loving it because I get to share my happiness with more people, around the world.
And that's right. So that so are you traveling as well? Are you traveling in the last 9 months as well, going to see other
yes, because
kitchens?
Other kitchens. I'm always trying to improve my own skills. So as a chef, you get formally trained, and then you have a set of skills. But there's so many different cultures, and there's so many different ways of doing something. I love pushing my boundaries, and I love actually. And this is what the chefs at Vanilla Zulu, we all sort of learn a new skill every month, and then we show off to each other, but in a fun, healthy, happy way. But I do travel quite a bit. So I actually do some pop-ups and some book tours and stuff in South Africa. But I also, I go to where the food destinations are. So whatever's trending. So Mexico is a big one. That I've done twice because there's a huge food revolution there, and that's a global accepted food. Is Mexican food is really exciting, and it's not just tacos. There's a wealth of fantastic recipes out there. But obviously, I'm very passionate about African cuisine because it's such a melting pot of different cultures. But then also Japanese, and there's so many. I would get in trouble because I'm going to forget someone, but I do travel quite extensively, and I love to travel to the food. It's a good excuse. I'm an ex-backpacker. I backpacked professionally for 3 years in my early 20s, and I've never gotten rid of the travel bug. Unfortunately, it's very expensive. But so I love it. That's life.
Yeah, that you're so right. You go from one country to another, and even Africa. So, as a herbalist, I understand that if you put the seeds of one species of plant in one area, and then you go 1,000 kilometers and wherever away from there, and you put those same seeds into the it can be the same continent,
Mm.
the soil will interfere in the actions of the plant when it's
Yeah.
grown, because the soil nourishes the seed.
Mm.
So you, yeah, what if you so ginseng is a perfect example. Everyone knows ginseng. So the ginseng that is grown in Australia is totally different function to the ginseng that is grown in China or Korea or America. So it's exactly the same it's exactly the same with vegetables. Vegetables
Yeah.
is no difference. You plant something here, it's going to be totally different when you plant it in Melbourne.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
It's going to taste different. It's going to taste different as well.
Makes it more exciting.
It'll be similar. It'll be similar. It'll be similar, but it won't be exactly the same. So yeah, it so my point is that the soil is different every continent you go to, and even in the continent itself, the soil is going to be different if you go to another area. So you're exactly right that the combinations of vegetables and cooking methods as well. But over time you can see that the different countries have different methods of cooking food
Yeah.
because they had to adapt to their environment.
Exactly. It's so exciting. It really is. My absolute passion is to go, to another country and then see them cooking something. And I'm like, why didn't we think of that? And it's just so
Yeah,
exciting. And then you can bring that home and adjust it to, your kitchen or, your family or whatever. But if you are feeling a little bit uninspired, literally within 10 minutes in your kitchen, you can find inspiration. And that's through food, because food really does bring, especially if you're in your family at the moment and there's a disconnect. I find that, we're so disconnected with each other. We're all so busy. Is plan a meal and
yeah, it's
get the
true.
family together, get them to help. If they don't want to help, just feed them. Like you said, you remember that wow moment where something special was put in front of you. No matter how disconnected they are, that's an opportunity to reconnect. And it's so important in our families, because that's love, to feel that connection
Yeah,
and to have your family close, and, and it's also to see if everyone's okay, and have those conversations. Food opens up,
well,
conversation,
right.
and
Yeah,
makes memories as well. Often when we get together, we go, oh, remember when auntie so and so used to make that dish? And it's that memory that goes with it, and you would do anything to taste it, and you can actually make it again and experience that. So food not only nourishes the body, but I think the soul as well. And that's ultimately how we can get that feeling of happiness back. Is just feed yourself some decent food. You deserve it. Become more selfish about what you're putting in your trolley, what you're
body.
putting in your
Yeah,
bags, your fancy little bags that you're taking to the shop. Be really selfish about what you're putting in there. We all love a biscuit or a whatever, but in moderation, and make your own. Um,
yeah,
but anyway,
yeah, yeah, exactly right.
yeah,
That doesn't mean go out and buy a packet of Tim Tams and eat it for dinner. I know
no,
what you're saying.
exactly.
You're saying
Yeah.
what you put in your trolley is who you're
It's
going to
up
be.
to you, and you need to be selfish about it. You need to go, no, because
Yeah,
you can't be blaming anyone else. If you're eating badly, you're the one putting the food in front of yourself. You can say, no, I'm not having that, or no, I want this instead. So be selfish. It's all up to you. You're driving your own vehicle. No one's driving it for you. It's all up to you. Take some ownership and be selfish in a good, happy way.
yeah, accountability. Yeah, it's being
Accountability.
accountable.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I've
a
got
tough one
two
because
teenagers. I'm good at lecturing on demand. I can pop a lecture in 5 seconds in the car or whatever. Teenage boys, I'm fantastic at getting a lecture in there efficiently.
Yeah, well, and yeah, and then this is this is what I'm trying to say earlier is that we are in a period of time where it's never been seen before. Like we're starting to get big health issues in our society, but that's because of the exposure, what we
Mm,
see every day. So, and I mean, our kids, they're the exponents of that exposure. And
mm.
when you walk down the street and all you can see is, fast food outlets, like it's so hard for them to say no to that when it's seeing it over and over and over again. And that's why I love what you're doing, because you're basically bringing people back to what we did before these franchises have been brought out and basically taken over our society, because that's what happened previously was
Yeah.
the mums of the worlds, they kept the family together with food.
Yeah, but also it happened because we don't have time. We don't have time to spend 8
That's right.
hours,
Yeah,
doing something. So
yes,
it was a natural progression and was always going to happen when we got busier. So that's why you need
yeah,
to go, okay, I need to learn some skills so that when I cook something, I'm efficient. And that's why my books are called quickies, because I know everyone's looking for a quick
yeah,
fix and I can
yeah,
provide it. So, if you are
yeah,
going to be efficient and start enjoying your kitchen again, because I tell you what,
yes,
I hear a lot of families out there going, "Oh, I'm so sick of cooking. I'm so tired of cooking." Yes,
yeah,
because it is exhausting. And if no one's appreciating you, you are going to feel it
yes,
even more. But it's making time to be more organized and more efficient. I know it sounds like hard work, but it's not. I'm actually saving you time by making you do some prep. And then if you don't have time to do prep, learn to chop something down, learn to sharpen your own knife. Don't even get me started on people that are, chopping their kitchens on a board that is moving with a blunt knife. You are never going to have a good time. There's not going to be any of this happiness you're seeing on my face if you're chopping in your kitchen and your board is moving around and you've got a blunt knife. That's instant cranky face that you're going to get. So you need to put a wet cloth under your board, like a tea towel or something, or a chucks.
yeah,
Put it under your board so your board does not move, and then go watch a YouTube video, or you can sign up for my free knife skills course and learn to sharpen your own knife. If you are sharpening your own knife, it's very therapeutic. People are going to think you're much more chefy, and invest in your own skills and learn how to do it, because you're going to save so much more time chopping down something and having some fun rather than battling with a knife. And if you don't want to use a knife, use your food processor. I will write you a permission slip if you need permission from someone. I'm your girl.
I cheat. I cheat. I've got one of those stone. You just put the knife through
It's
the
good.
stone, and it does
But
it
even
sharpens it food straight away.
that's fine, whatever it takes. But if you're not going to chop with a knife because you cut yourself in your early
Yeah,
20s or whatever, use the food
yeah,
processor. They are
yeah,
so economic. You can get a beautiful food processor for $150, even under $100, and
yeah.
it
You
just
can.
takes
Yeah,
it takes all the effort out of it. Use the
yeah.
equipment. I'm all for it. Whatever gets you there
Oh,
faster.
Jesus, this was so easy. This has been so easy. This has been the easy interview. So
Yay.
I'll go on to so tell me about your ideal client, your ideal avatar. So actually, we'll talk about the restaurant. So where is your restaurant? What's it called again?
So it's Vanilla Zulu Cooking School. I'm at 92 Commercial Road in Tenerife. I was at Wilston. Can't remember the road. But I've been there for 7 years in the bigger venue. So it's been going for 13 years. And I think, also Vanilla Zulu, and then my own personal brand, Chef Mel. What we are looking for are those foodies who are wanting to level up. No matter where you are, you could be really awful, can't even boil an egg, to making your own confit and using a sous vide. Wherever you are in your culinary journey, it is always good to go and learn a new skill. I call it level up, because when you level up and you get a new skill, it becomes more exciting in your kitchen, because now you can use that skill and try something that you've never tried before, and you refresh your menu, because I call it menu fatigue. When you are sick of your own cooking and you can't get out of your own cooking because you don't know what else to do and you don't know how to do it. So, coming along and leveling up your skill is a fantastic way to do it. And that's why I've written my cookbooks a little bit differently. Most cookbooks, they give you the recipe and the ingredients, but they don't warn you about what could go wrong, and they don't tell you what to look out for. And that's what I do. It's a conversation that I have in my cookbooks. And I say, if you are looking at the pan right now and there was a lot of gray liquid, that's your fault. Back away from the pan, turn the heat up, and have a word with yourself, because you were compulsively stirring. And it's fun stuff, because I'm trying to impart my enthusiasm and my humor for cooking to those people who are just tired and stressed and all sorts. You still have to cook even when you are tired and you're stressed. So let's try and get that fun back. Take back those moments in your kitchen and actually feel, when you come out of there, feel clever and feel accomplished and have a delicious meal. It will really lift your mood. And don't we all need it with our,
Yes.
wherever you are, we all need a pick me up. So use food and your own skills and do it.
Yes, totally agree.
Level up chefs out there. I want you to feel more chefy.
Chefy.
I call it chefy skills. I want you to feel more chefy.
Chefy skills.
Yes.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So
that's my new
I'll just go to
my new cookbook's name is Chefy Skills. So yes.
Is it really? Okay. All right. Well, I'll do that at the end. We're just about there, but
yes.
So the last question: what rules or what ideas would you go by to attain life longevity?
Well, I think we have covered this extensively. We are what we eat. So, be selfish with what you are eating and also what you are drinking, because no one's watching you. So you need to watch yourself. All right. So if you are feeling unwell and if you are feeling lethargic and sluggish and no energy and not very good mood, you need to change what you're doing. You need to have a good shake up. And, it could be getting up earlier and having some time to go do some exercise, because, even when you really don't feel like going and doing exercise, it's actually what you should do, because nothing increases your mood other than food than going just for a walk. If you're feeling really like you're not coping, I promise you, drag yourself out the door, go for a walk, go to the gym, go to a class, and I promise you will feel better afterwards. Unless medically you shouldn't go, then don't go. But if you go for a walk and cook yourself something really healthy, I 100% guarantee you are going to feel absolutely fab. And we want to feel fabulous. When was the last time you felt fabulous? If your answer is, I can't remember, then you need to become more selfish. Today is the day. Right now, you're making a change. So go to the shop, get yourself some good food, sign up for a class, and take control back.
Great advice. Fantastic advice. So,
yes.
Okay, we'll just go over. So what, you got your books? What are they called again?
Quickies Cookbook. With me, Chef Mel, the happy chef.
You've also got your restaurant at Tenerife.
A cooking school, yes.
Yeah, and cooking school.
Yes.
And also you got your channel as well.
I've got a YouTube channel, yes, Chef Mel Culinary Quickies. I've got my channel up there, and then I've got the online courses. So the Chefy Skills course, you can sign up for the Chefy Skills course, and you can do it. It's a DIY course. You can do it in your own kitchen, in whatever sequence you want. but there's group support and one-on-one support. So if you're going, oh, my souffle didn't rise, you can send a photo in and we'll tell you what went wrong, and you're going to get it right. So it's 100% success rate. You just got to actually do it.
That's exactly right.
You can't change it if you didn't try. So yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Chef Mel. I feel so much better. You're giving us some gold information. So
Great.
much appreciated for your time and the knowledge that you've given today. You've given some great tips. So much appreciated. And put your details in the chat, in our comments.
Yes, I will.
I've got 3 platforms recording, so I will give that to you anyway in LinkedIn. And yeah, thank you so much again, Chef Mel.
Yeah, you can always find me Chef Mel, Happy Chef, and I'll pop up on all your socials and platforms.
I'm happy too. Thanks very much, Happy Chef Mel.
Thank you so much for having me on today, and I had a fantastic time.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Excellent. Have a great day. Happy cooking.
Yes, thanks everyone for watching. And you've been watching the Get Busy Livin podcast with the lovely Chef Mel. And talk to you next time.